Exciting weather day around Western Washington, as we were talking yesterday about a little bit of snow headed our way in the lowlands, and sure enough,
it happened. A lot of you waking up to some white stuff out there, and some of it is sticking in the higher elevations. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. We want to thank you for joining us on this Friday the 13th. We have team coverage this morning because of the lowland snow across the region and on our mountain passes. You can see some of the snow that fell overnight. Some of it really didn't even stick because our temperatures are above freezing.
Yeah, around a broad swath of Puget Sound, near sea level, near the sound, and actually several miles on either side, pretty much did not stick because it was warm enough that it didn't really cause any problems. But you can see as you get back there towards the foothills, pick up a bit. Is that, I can't tell exactly, that looks like that's got to be up at Snoqualmie Pass.
That's got to be, yeah.
That was not in the lowlands.
That's Snoqualmie Pass, yes, thankfully, and that's Snoqualmie Pass.
There you go. They had 14 inches of snow in 24 hours, so adding their totals. What was their total for the week?
For the week,
I think it was like 29, 30 inches, wasn't it?
Yeah,
in that range?
We have that for you. We'll show you.
In a moment, we'll get to that. There's been a lot of numbers this morning.
Look at the flakes flying in Tacoma. You see that there. A lot of people are happy what they're waking up to.
Looks like this Tacoma dome got a nice coating there on the dome itself.
Yeah, it took a little while. I had a few people commenting saying, it's not snowing here yet, and I live in Tacoma, and they said, oh, it's snowing now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so later on we are going to be joined by Farah Jadrin and Savannah Welch. But first, let's take a look at some of the snow that we saw overnight. And it is still snowing for some of you this morning. We'll take a look at the radar as of right now. Give it a second here.
There you go.
It's thinking, Rich.
Well, yes, we all should think,
Right. So here is a look at the radar loop over the past couple hours.
Yeah, you can see one of the interesting things is there's not been that much precipitation to the north, which, ordinarily places like Baker, which only got, 7 inches of new snow in the last 24 hours. But what's happening is you can see the rain is down in the south. The atmospheric river is pointed primarily into Oregon. We're just catching the edge of it, the cold edge of it. We're going to talk about more of that after a while. But as a result of that, you see your heavier amounts as we get lower down. Right.
And earlier we were talking about this. A lot of people are wondering, well, why is it not snowing in southern Washington or Portland?
Oh, yeah. And you can see, take a look at this. You can see this is the upper level flow that guides our storms and basically brings the air masses in here. And you can see we've got two kind of coming together, one coming up from the southwest and then one coming in from the west to northwest out of the Gulf of Alaska. Cold air's on one side, warm air's on the other side. That's a stationary front, or the symbols for a stationary front right there, which is what we've had. And so that's been wiggling around along the Oregon border for the last day or two. And so we're seeing the cooler temperatures with snow down near sea level for example, over Seattle. Seattle was at 36 degrees this morning. Portland at 52 degrees, you can see there. And the snow level down at Mount Hood is at 6,500 feet while it's at sea level here. So you can see a short distance really globally that we've got this big change across the atmospheric river. And there is the atmospheric river. You can see it was aimed primarily into Oregon. It's going to move south and out of here as we head towards later on Saturday on into Sunday. But another one forms just to the north of us, and that one's going to settle in and just brushes as it moves by to the north of us. This time we're going to be on the warm side. We'll see rain around western Washington with the snow levels probably getting up to about 6,000 to 7,000 feet as we head towards later Sunday and on through most of the week next week.
So basically telling everyone enjoy the winter weather while we have it, 1 week away. And before we really jump into the, the extensive coverage, we wanted to show you the 7-day forecast.
And weather-wise today, we've got that rain snow around in the morning, and then we should just see some rain as we head towards this afternoon. Temperatures are going to peak out upper 30s and low 40s, so we should melt off a lot of that, especially below about 1,000 to 1,500 feet. And then as we head into overnight tonight and tomorrow, it'll cool again. Might see a chance of seeing a little bit of wet snow developing. Doesn't look like any significant accumulations tomorrow morning, and then we should dry and clear out a little bit tomorrow before that warmer, wetter weather moves in later Sunday.
And until then, we'll still get some of those flakes falling. And we are at sea level here at King 5, and it's melting as soon as it hits the concrete. But that's not the case everywhere, and especially in some of the higher elevations, which we'll walk you through the future cast and talk about all the alerts we have in place. But first, We want to go live to Savannah Welch. She is in East King County, where some of it is sticking in some of the lowlands. Savannah, what are you seeing out there? We see lots of snow there.
We actually moved from Eastern King County. We're now in Seattle. Let me take my earpiece out because I was hearing myself there for a second. We're actually in downtown. We're close to downtown Seattle. This is Yesler Terrace Park. It's near First Hill, so we're actually in the city from Eastern King County. Let me step out so you can see just how much snow is accumulated here in this park. That's where you're seeing much of that buildup. It's parks, it's the tops of cars and rooftops as well as trees, and you can see those trees, the white just coating those branches there. Really beautiful sights through much of Seattle. As we were driving south earlier, we were in Bothell and then Woodinville and also Cottage Lake. So those spots did see quite a bit of snow buildup. But really, driving around the city, we haven't seen a ton of snow buildup. But because this area, this park is right above Pioneer Square, it's right at the top of Yesler Way. So it's really that higher elevation of those tops of those hills in the city are seeing a lot of that snow accumulation, even though the snow is falling through many parts of Seattle. Really, where you can expect to see the most snow accumulation are spots like this. So some areas and some parts of the city may be waking up to some scenes like this, some wintry wonderland-esque mixes here, but the snow, it's continuing to fall. It's been falling all morning. The roadways throughout the morning were pretty slushy as we drove through all of King County really this morning, a good portion of it really. We could see quite a bit of snow in the roadways, but it's mainly that slush, so it really melted pretty quickly. And moving down further south here, really there's no snow on the roadways. So really the further north and the further east you go, you'll get that slippery, slushy mix, but really in the city that's all melted, and really much of that snow is accumulating on the sides of roads, grassy spots, and those elevated surfaces. So a beautiful sight out here. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio with more on this wintry weather mix that we're seeing today.
Savannah, quick question. As you guys drove around, you covered quite a bit of area. Did you run into spots where it was really affecting your drivability, how slippery it was?
She might.
Savannah cannot hear us.
I don't think she can hear us right now. It is loud where she is right now.
Were you guys talking to me?
We were.
Hi.
Can you hear us now?
Sorry, I was hearing myself. Let me put my earpiece back in. Were you talking to me?
Yeah, we were asking a question about your travels this morning.
Your adventures.
Yes. We were wondering, as you travel over such a large area, did you see any spots where the driving really became marginal, or was it just basically dealing with slushy, wet roads?
It was pretty slushy, and again, sorry about that. I was hearing myself, so I took my earpiece out just so I wasn't hearing myself.
That's valid.
Yeah.
It is very annoying. I don't need more voices.
I hear you.
So I took that out, but yeah. I would say, driving around really south of Bothell is where we started to see the snow melt more. So it was still there was still a lot of accumulation on the roadways, but it was melting faster the further south we went from Bothell driving on I-5 South. So I would say, or I-5 South heading to Bothell down to Bellevue is really, so it was that eastern portion, not I-5, it was that eastern portion that you really started to see the snow start to dissipate and then turn into that wintry mix, especially on the bridge back from Bellevue over to Seattle. That's really where I noticed it, was the snow started to come down as actual precipitation, rain versus snow. So I would say the eastern portion heading down south and then back west to the city is really where it started to turn more into rain versus snow. But then it came back as we crossed over the water, it turned back to snow here in the city. So it was quite a mix of different types of precipitation. And then here you go, you've got more snow, especially as I mentioned earlier too, those higher elevation spots in the city. Since Seattle's so hilly, those higher hills are definitely seeing more snow accumulation versus like downtown, as you were saying earlier, Ashley, at sea level at the base down there by the water, you might see more rain and it really not sticking as much as you might see in hillier portions of Seattle. So that's a breakdown of what we saw, but we really were all over this morning. Bothell, Woodinville, all over Eastern King County.
And one more question, Savannah. When you were driving just all morning long, we had a busy morning on the roads, I-90 through the passes, shut down because of did you see any issues, any maybe washed out on the scene, or any cars that may have lost traction or anything, more so in those higher elevations and the hills?
I wouldn't really say we did. You know, we saw quite a few snow plows out the last few days, especially, I mean, obviously towards the passes, seeing them clearing the roads. But really, when it comes to lower elevations, we didn't really see much work being done in the sense of like salt on roads or WashDOT clearing roads. There was a little bit of traffic with people taking it slow as we headed south from Bothell and then came back west towards Seattle. But really, I would say it wasn't too bad. I think people knew to take it slow. We went to a Starbucks earlier this morning to get some coffee in between the shows, and everyone I talked to this morning said this was a huge surprise. No one, I think, really expected this, or a lot of people in the area, maybe, as you said, were hoping for it and hoping it would pan out, but ultimately it was a big surprise for a lot of people this morning.
A nice gift for some spots. I mean, and just the air temperature, we've been talking about this all week, just the conditions were there. It's just, will it all line up?
Well, and you heard about all the variations
that
Savannah experienced on this. It changes from one spot to another. This is like the headache that grazes us all that's in the forecast business, because people are used to it being pretty specific, and when we get into this situation, it's virtually impossible.
As we well know. Thank you, Savannah. Get warm. Thank you so much for running around all morning long for everyone. You are our eyes out there.
No problem.
Stay warm. Stay warm.
We love to run.
Drive carefully.
Yes. All right, now we're going to head to Snoqualmie Pass, where, as we well know, snow has blanketed the pass, impacting travel. We've had power outages, Rich. And Farah Jadrin is there now. Let's see what she's seeing, Farah.
Yeah, we've seen steady snow all morning long, and along I-90, there were some thicker flakes at times. And I want to give you a little bit of a comparison for you. Since I'm out here with our photojournalist, Doug Dillon, who was here on Tuesday with Drew Andre, they said that this snow plow pile was about knee high. And again, I'm not very tall, but knee high is a decent height. Now, Friday morning, whoa, as I fall for some snow fun, it's taller than me. I'm about 5'2", and you can see how high they're having to make these piles now. This is a welcome sight for folks who have been wanting to get out this ski season, including our new friend Colin, who typically chases the snow during ski season.
Didn't know exactly how much to expect, so this is, we got a lot, which is great. So just hoping the mountain opens up and we can get out there.
So you'll want to keep checking in with the summit at Snoqualmie for any changes in their operations today. An outage happening at about 3:40 this morning really impacted how things kicked off for the morning, limiting what they could do throughout the day. So maybe some more night skiing could be in your sights, but you're going to see this steady snow, and you're going to have some tricky conditions along I-90. Give yourself some extra time anytime you're heading over the passes when it is snowing. Along Snoqualmie Pass, Farah Jadrin, King 5 News.
Thank you, Farah. And we had some traffic problems around this morning. What day don't we have traffic problems around here? But this was associated with some wet roads and some slushy roads, especially as you got under the foothills. And King 5 Shante Sumter has been tracking the latest road closures. Shante?
A first alert traffic day because of the conditions. We have several major highways closed at the moment. And even if you aren't getting out on some of those roads, you still could be impacted. Like, I don't even see any snow sticking on 405 through Renton, but the traffic is crawling along between Renton and Bellevue because of the snow coming down and the conditions. So I-90, as we mentioned, closed in both directions, westbound out at Easton, northbound, eastbound, out near North Bend. So there will be no way to get to Snoqualmie Pass at the moment. Out on Highway 18, it's now closed in both directions. So between Issaquah Hobart Road and I-90, because of the conditions, we know several trucks spun out, according to the Washington State Patrol, because of not chaining up. So you're seeing delays going northbound through there. Highway 410 is closed out near Mud Mountain Dam Road, and WashDOT just tweeted out there is no way to get to Crystal Mountain right now. So keep that in mind. You still have that Highway 2 closure because of a crash out near Ty River Road in Skycomish. And don't forget, this weekend 405 is closing again in both directions out in Bothell.
And coming up next, we will have more coverage, extended coverage. Myself, Rich, Marriott, and we are tracking more snow.
Welcome back. It's been a busy week overall for us, hasn't it?
Yeah, needless to say, and we are a week away from spring.
Just a week from today, it's
Yeah.
actually going to be spring. And the crazy thing is, next week is going to feel an awful lot like spring. We could see 60-degree temperatures in some places in the middle part of next week before we go into spring. So.
We spring into spring.
I
but
wonder if Mother Nature just kind of woke up and realized she was running out of time for winter.
Yeah.
She'd, like, give us
Yeah.
the entire winter season in 4 days.
I mean, it's been so nice for our snowpack as well as the ski resorts, but so many people wishing for snow in Seattle. You got it. But
They got it.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody's wishes
Yeah.
are getting answered,
Yeah.
except for the skiers that are trying to go up like to Snoqualmie where
Yeah.
the power is off again.
yeah, again, yes. And we'll bring you all of the
Yeah.
mountain snow totals and from the past 4 days as well.
Yep.
Pretty remarkable, but remember, we also got some rain up there as well.
It was right in the middle. It was just,
Yeah.
they kind of made us appreciate when the snow came back.
Exactly. Let's jump right into it because a lot of you are wondering, well, is it going to continue?
Yeah. And overall, we're in first alert weather mode through at least tonight. There's a chance we might extend it into tomorrow morning. We could keep close watch on that during the day. But right now, it looks like the system drops on out of here as we head towards later today. And so we'll see, even though there might be a few snow showers around tomorrow morning, it's just going to be remnants, not looking for any significant accumulations. And of course, the heavy snow in the mountains will continue into later on tonight. We're expecting, after getting 1 to 2 feet last night, we're expecting another 1 to 2 feet tonight. And you see those snow levels going up during the day, just your daytime warming, push them up to about 1,500 feet. But overnight tonight, they're going to get down back close to the sea level range. And as we have seen today, very well demonstrated, wide variability there in terms of what people may see. But only a limited number of places are going to be seeing precipitation tomorrow because this is going to be dropping away from us. You see those temperatures, huge differences between us and Portland, for example, at 52. They're down at 52 degrees. Puget Sound right now, mostly in the mid-30s, and the good news with that is it means that we're not really looking at any ice. We may have some slushy conditions here and there when the snow is falling, but pretty much that can be driven off, and nothing is going to be turning into ice here in the lowlands. It just isn't cold enough. Plus, we have the cloud cover, which makes it that much harder for it to freeze. And you can see up to the north where it's beginning to clear already. There in Friday Harbor, already up to 40 degrees.
And we're seeing some of it accumulate, especially in those high hilltops, foothills. And so there is a winter weather advisory until the afternoon. This is issued by the National Weather Service. Just, again, this is generally above 500 feet. And Rich, we've been talking about this all morning long. It just varies by your neighborhood.
It absolutely seems within neighborhoods, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you were saying earlier, just driving in this morning.
Oh, yeah, driving over. Yeah, I mean, I live close to sea level, and then it was kind of mixed snow and rain. I drove up over a hill, and the hill was like 300 feet, 400 feet. And it was nothing but snow on top, but not sticking at that point. So, but it was near Puget Sound, which makes a difference.
And going forward into the day, we're not going to warm up much, but enough to where it's not going, it's going to melt. It's here at sea level, it's just wet and cold out there. But the snow's falling. It will not be beach
weather this afternoon. But
I would say not. Maybe next week, though. If you are headed up to the mountains, as Rich mentioned, that we have that winter storm warning, and we wanted to take you to Snoqualmie Pass. This is our King 5 camera, and wow, those cars and vehicles are buried.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you recall this normal shot we've had through most of the winter, there was, because they park equipment in that area, it was really, really visible. Now it's almost disappeared under the snow. As we were saying a short time ago, we saw, well, by now over 30 inches of snowfall there since beginning on during the day on Monday, on into Tuesday, and on into this morning.
And over the past 24 hours, actually, these numbers from NWAC, Mount Baker, just not getting the brunt of it.
Normally they're sipping of it, but really it's coming from the south for a change. And so the other thing, too, looking at Stevens being so ahead of everybody, if you've been watching this week, they've had the convergence zone aimed at them several days in a row. So besides, Snoqualmie's probably more representative of what generally the Cascades got, but under those convergence zone areas up there in northern King and Snohomish counties, Stevens Pass is probably more representative, and that's over 4 feet of snow this week.
I mean, perfect for our skiers and snowboarders.
That was most of this year preceding this.
I know. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And next week, with snow levels coming up, we'll have to watch out for some of that rain. But let's talk about this view.
Yeah, we'll see. That's typical of what we've seen in a lot of places. Plenty of snow on the grasses, but on the parking lot there at Shorecrest High School and Shoreline, nothing really sticking there, or it's getting driven off, which also works as well. There in Tacoma, you can see the wet snow mixed in with the rain in pretty good shape, and that's depending on where you are. It doesn't look too different there at the Columbia Tower Cam in Seattle. Of course, keep in mind that's almost 1,000 feet up. So you would hope you would be seeing snow there at this point. We didn't have to go check that out.
I know. And here outside of our King 5 studios, again, it's actively snowing.
Doesn't that just say baseball to you?
Yeah, it does. It does. 13 days until opening
right.
day.
Yeah.
And you're going to possibly see a spring training
Well,
game.
I'm supposed to go. I am going to be down there.
I say
but
possibly.
the
Why?
The day that I'm going to be going is supposed to be a little over 100 degrees.
Oh.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, 60 degrees, that sounds like summer here compared to that.
That's perfect, actually. That's why I live here.
Soaking up the sun, some of us in the South. But just to wrap it all up, what we can expect for Friday, and just because some people are saying, well, it's not sticking here, but as we've been saying, you go into some of those higher elevations, that's where it's going to stick. But cold rain to our south, our friends down south. And then showing you quickly on the Futurecast. This is just guidance. Don't take this as certain, but it is showing. I overlaid the temperatures there just to show you the temperature difference and how we're going to stay above freezing, even if we see that snow falling.
Yeah.
And into the evening, you see temperatures still there, and the precipitation starts to peel away. And what we were talking about, and into Saturday morning with that rain and snow mix, possibly, 500 feet or so?
Yeah, you know, and noticing on there's only a small kind of like one little area that kind of comes out close to Puget Sound up there. Probably a little bit of convergence going on up there since up towards the Everett area along US 2 by the time we get into tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah.
And then it should pretty much dry out as we head towards the afternoon. Might even see a little bit of sun tomorrow. And we start dry on Sunday, and then that ends.
That quickly ends,
the
yes.
rain moves in, and those temperatures you see start to warm up.
And speaking of rain totals, we were mentioning this yesterday, if you watched us on the stream, how Olympia and Seattle at SeaTac received the most rain, or record high rain totals for a day a couple of days ago. So Olympia was over 2 inches. Seattle is a little over 1, the wettest March day in Seattle since 2015. And then in Olympia, it was since the 80s, which is pretty remarkable for March. And I wanted to show this because this is since Monday morning, Olympia 3.5 inches. And this is what we were talking about with that atmospheric river, just that remarkable stretch from Bellingham and then all the way.
How little up north and how much down south.
And so the Weather Service did go ahead and issue a flood watch. This is for Thurston County, Lewis County, and points to the south. And it's really because of runoff. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the snow levels down there also, as we were talking earlier, are higher as well. If you weren't watching a few minutes ago, they're currently at 6,500 feet in Portland while they're down near sea level here in Seattle. So a real big north-south gradient there, or difference in those temperatures. And because it will be falling as rain, it won't be staying in the snowpack. It'll be coming all out into the rivers. Plus, that general area is getting quite a bit of rain just in the lowlands themselves. So basically a lot of runoff, but at least at this point it looks like it's just going to be minor flooding. So, but something we'll keep a close watch on here in the next day or so.
A lot of people are also wondering, okay, we had so much snow up in our mountains, which I'll show you the 7-day for that. And with next week, with our snow level so high and all of that rain, what will that do to the new snow into next week?
Well, mostly it will just compact it. I mean, the depth will decrease, but the amount of water stays about the same. It depends on how warm it gets, because if your snow level's around 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet, the rain falling on the snowpack up in the mountains is actually mostly in the mid to upper 30s. And that doesn't melt a lot of ice, which is basically what snow is. What it does is it compacts it, so it gets more dense. And the other thing it does is that we've learned over time is that it creates channels through the snowpack. That it kind of goes down, hits a icy layer, and then there's like a drain out of it, and it works its way down, so it goes right through the snowpack oftentimes. So, whereas when you're getting, as we have been, tons of moisture and it's staying in the snowpack up there, it doesn't go into the rivers until the summertime when we're melting it off. So.
What about the avalanche concerns?
The avalanche concerns, because we're getting a lot of cold snow at cold temperatures, and we're going to be looking for this warming. That is probably going to trigger a pretty good avalanche cycle as we head into later in the weekend or to start next week. So if you're planning backcountry trips, keep that in mind.
Absolutely, and check in with the Northwest Avalanche Center. They have a great app. I've been on it all morning long.
App, yeah.
The AVY, A-V-Y app.
AVY app.
Or NWAC.us. But you see, again, at our 7-day, this is for the Seattle area, so not quite done with it. Today is that first alert weather day, but we're warming up next week, so winter weather lovers, soak it in now.
Don't put your rain gear away.
No, not yet whatsoever. So we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll check in again with Farah Jadran and Savannah Welch.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update the drug labeling by adding warnings or updated dosage information. Changes could also include the FDA requesting a drug recall. Find the answers at fda.gov/drugs.
Welcome back to this first alert weather day and weather night. I'm Ashley Ruiz, Rich Marriott on this Friday the 13th. Go figure.
Has that feel to it?
It does.
Anyways, that said, we've gotten a lot of snowfall around Puget Sound.
Yeah.
Have not had that many problems.
No, and so
maybe
lucky.
not that unlucky, yes. So
yes, lucky.
We'll keep our fingers crossed on that one for sure and avoid black cats crossing our paths. So,
Can't forget about that.
Alrighty, well, this morning we have first alert team coverage because of the lowland snow across the region and the heavy snow up across the mountain passes. Later on, we'll be joined by Savannah Welch, who is tracking down the hardest hit areas in the lowlands. But first, let's check in with Farah Jadran, who's traveling back from Snoqualmie Pass.
Yeah, so we're actually in North Bend right now, and the snow seems light above me because I'm under a big tree, but I'm getting kind of that pitter-patter of what's melting. Behind me is the line of cars that are now stuck because of the closure. You cannot get on to I-90 eastbound near North Bend, and you cannot get on westbound I-90 at Ellensburg. So we've seen a lot of trucks coming over here because it is one of the better-known truck stops, but it's a long line of cars for folks trying to get on to I-90 right now. That's pretty unfortunate, but it is for safety. Quite a few spin-outs and crashes have been reported, and what we saw traveling westbound from the summit at Snoqualmie Pass to North Bend with several stalled vehicles. We saw a lot of cars that were probably going too fast and then ended off the road, which is just too bad. You know, you don't go fast because you think you're making great time when some of the roads are a bit sloppy, even though they've been plowed. This snow has been steady. If you were with us throughout the morning, it's been a steady stream. We have not had a break in the snow over Snoqualmie Pass all morning. morning, and these are pretty thick flakes coming down. If 10-year-old Farah were here, I would roll down this hill right now, but we're not going to do that. We're on grass right now, so it's not going to give you the best read of the snow falling, but I will tell you it's kind of that wet snow because it's kind of just flirting in the temperatures. So it's not really a slush, and it's not very powdery right now. But you know, if you have a delay from school, or you're off today, or you're just gonna stay home, it is snowball worthy weather, snow, and also snowball worthy snowmen. So Ashley, Rich, if you have some time, you know, make a snowman. I got plenty of sticks here. So look, I've found his arm. You know, this is a great little
wow.
like snowman arm.
I expect you to build
this
one.
doesn't look like a snowman right now. Yeah, you know, so you know, you work on it. But I got all the pieces I need. We're unsure if we're going to be able to continue on westbound because the only place we can get on keeps getting blocked here and there. So we're crossing our fingers for that. And we just hope everyone stays safe.
Yes.
We did see some stalled vehicles. We hope we don't hear any reports of injuries, but you know, if you see plows coming, make sure to give them space. We saw a lot of semi-trucks pulled over along the road on I-90 and some being towed because they were having some difficulty as well. So name of the game, take it slow. And if you don't have to drive, I saw a bunch of municipalities tweeting out, do not get on the road if you don't have to. Live in North Bend, Farah Jadrin, King 5 News.
Wow, that's looking pretty amazing. Farah, can we ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Well, first of all, you were up at the pass all morning, and about 3 o'clock this morning in that range, the power went off, and we lost our instrumentation that tells us how much new snow is falling up there. How much would you estimate fell during the time that you were standing up there, which was like 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, during the time we were there, at least 6 inches. So you're getting at least the inch every hour, if not more. We were we're doing my scientific approach where you look on the top of vehicles that weren't touched or on top of our car that wasn't touched. And then I was looking at the top of porta potties, which I don't think anyone was getting up on top of those to do
scientific measurement
we had at least a good 6 inches. That's your job, right? Let someone get up there and sweep that snow off. But yeah, about 6 inches. And speaking of the summit at Snoqualmie, Rich and Ashley, because of that outage, at the last check that I saw, the resort was saying just Summit Central was going to be operating, and it didn't look like Summit West was going to be getting those chairlifts spinning during the day. They're hoping for an update by 1:30 this afternoon, and the hope, the dream, is to get folks out for evening skiing, but you got to wait and see what those updates are. And if you had tickets that you couldn't use yesterday because of the outage that impacted the resort, you can look into getting yourself a credit back. It'll take a few business days, but they are going to be offering that for folks. So yeah, a widespread outage out there. It didn't have a restoration time at the last time that I saw. And the last thing I do want to share with you guys is it was so bumpy on our drive from the summit of Snoqualmie here to North Bend, so much so that I was a little bit nauseous. It was that bumpy, and we were going maybe 20 miles per hour. That was the fastest you could go by still staying safe.
And so when you're driving westbound from Snoqualmie Pass to North Bend, how was the driving conditions then? And where you are right now? I'm not sure if people are moving over to check out the snow or if they're just slowly passing by.
Yeah, no, I mean, some people I think are doing the right thing. They're taking it slow because it is still pretty slushy here. This is pretty clear. This is probably the most road I've seen all morning that, you know, confirms that the blacktop is still blacktop because there's been so much packed snow. But I-90 between the summit at Snoqualmie and North Bend, extremely bumpy and unsafe to go more than 20 miles per hour. It has a recommendation of 35, but I think photojournalist Doug Dillon and I would say 20, and that's where we kept it at. Because if you went any faster than that, it started to get a little bit dicey, and we saw a lot of folks who were off the road, still spinning their tires out. They were going to be stuck, and we did see a lot of larger trucks pulled over as well. And even those with chains, they were struggling as well.
That's
Yeah.
really remarkable.
It really is. Thank you so much, Farah. Please be safe coming back, and we both expect, before you leave, a photo of a snowman. You just
Yes.
need to find the other parts.
If only you had a carrot.
Right, I
Yeah.
only had a head.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the headless horseman. It's just a
That's-
snowman with a head.
Just the snowman
bodiless,
head.
yeah,
Yeah,
bodiless
there you
snowman.
go.
News
Yes.
director would be so proud.
Thank you, Farah. Okay.
I have a quick update,
yeah.
as a matter of fact. I was just looking.
On the passes.
On the passes, White Pass is now closed because of
Wow.
avalanche. They're doing avalanche evaluation right now because of
Okay.
all the snow they've gotten. So right now, Stevens Pass is the only pass that you can get across the Cascades.
Wow.
Otherwise, you have to go down to the Columbia Gorge to get east of the Cascades. So
Yeah.
we'll keep you posted on that.
We will.
Meanwhile, chains are required for Stevens Pass and Blewett Pass, which goes between I-90 and US 2, has chains required as well. So if you're over there
Yeah.
in Ellensburg or Leavenworth.
And needless to say, it's treacherous through the passes. If you don't need to go through, you'll get caught if anything, and that's not what you want to do, and to be safe as well. So we'll continue to bring you the latest on here, but we're going to send it to break for a quick second. But when we come back, we'll be joined by King 5 Savannah Welch. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, ground stop continues. We can talk about what that means.
Are we going to Savannah first?
Okay. Oh, welcome. You agreed? Oh, welcome back to our continuing First Alert weather coverage as we continue to deal with a number of problems around Western Washington and the weather department, both
yeah.
here and up in the mountains. And just to underscore, if you weren't with us before the break, Stevens Pass is the only pass that's open across the Cascades right now. Both the White Pass and Snoqualmie passes are temporarily closed because of conditions. You can guess what they are with all the snow.
Yeah.
And the risk of avalanches in the case of White Pass.
So a lot of people trying to head to the ski resorts. You're out of luck today. Right now.
How harsh is that? No snow all year.
No snow for you.
And when you finally get it, you can't get there, or the power's off.
Exactly. And I mean, we've had some snow in the lowlands. It's had a hard time sticking, if anything, more so in the higher hilltops.
yeah.
And all morning long, we've been sending our reporters everywhere and our photojournalists. Let's check back in with Savannah Welch. She is in East King County, where we are seeing that snow falling. Savannah, where are you right now?
Yeah, so Ashley, we were in East King County earlier this morning, and then we made our way down I-405, and now we're actually just above downtown Seattle. We're right near First Hill. So the city itself, the lower areas, like maybe there's so many hills in Seattle, the lower portions of the city aren't seeing that much snow, but where we are near Yesler Terrace, we're getting a lot of snow accumulating throughout like the grassy spots and on streets and also like side areas. But I'll step out so you can take a look behind me. Look at those trees. You can see the snow accumulating there, and also that's I-5 down there. Really, you know, I would say that snow is not really sticking that well. Truly, it was sticking more up to the northeastern portions of King County, and on those main roads we saw more slush. But where we are, that snow is quickly melting on the roadways, especially interstates like I-5, even I-405, really not dealing with a lot of difficult driving situations. It is just still slick and slippery. But thankfully, we really didn't see a lot of ice. It's just that soft, fluffy snow, but quite a bit of it has accumulated here. I mean, if you look at how much is on this pole here, I don't know if we're able to show, just so you get an idea of just how much is here.
Wow.
I mean, that's about, I don't know, an inch or so of snow that's accumulated, and it's sticking really everywhere. I mean, it's been ongoing all morning long, but it's cool to see the buildup after hours and hours of snowfall overnight. So a lot of people are waking up to fresh snow through many parts of King County. Back to you guys at the desk.
I'm just going through some tweets right now, and I believe before we send it back to you, Savannah, because I'm sure you would like to hear this too. I-90, this from Snoqualmie Pass, I-90 is closed, as we know, in both directions from North Bend to Ellensburg, and they're saying it will likely remain closed for the rest of the day.
Wow.
This is to clear multiple spun out vehicles and 100 miles of snow and down trees. So like we said, don't go out.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the problems too, Savannah, is the fact that with these low snow levels here, the clearance of snow across Snoqualmie usually doesn't take place when we get close to the pass. But now they're having to clear from North Bend, so massive number of increased miles, they have to put the same number of plows on, which makes it that much harder to get the pass back open.
Yeah, so it's going to take a little bit of time. But Savannah, when you were driving this morning, I mean, you left the station here in Soto super early. What conditions have you seen? It's variable, and we've been talking about higher hilltops. You may not see anything, but it may be sticking for some. But kind of walk us through what you've seen just over the past couple of hours.
Sure. Well, I will say that a lot of people this morning, a lot of drivers on the roads have been taking it slow. So us ourselves, we didn't see a lot of accidents or issues on the roads. People have been slowing down with the snow, and it is more slushy. It's really not icy from what we saw. We were on I-405 up and down back from here to the station to Bothell. So we went over the Mercer Island Bridge, the 520 bridge, and that's really where we saw the snow start to accumulate more. So I would say it was on and off a wintry mix and maybe precipitation. So it was really slushy, really heading north on I-405. But really it wasn't too bad when it comes to driving conditions. It was, you know, I think people are used to, you know, this, even if there is lower elevation snow, people know to, you know, take a pause. But of course, we've seen a lot of issues on I-90 and heading up to the passes. Even when we've been out there the last few days, we've seen backups and there are crashes, you know, things happen on the roadways. But thankfully in the lowlands and the metro area, Seattle metro area, even to eastern King County, we really didn't see too many issues on the roads. It really is that slushy, just wet consistency. And if there is slush on the roadways, it's very minuscule. I mean, maybe half an inch to an inch, and by the time, you know, it melts so quickly, especially down here in the Seattle specific metro area.
Okay, Savannah Welch, she is at First Hill?
First Hill. They're,
yes. Yesler Terrace.
Thank you,
it's
Yesler
like
Terrace
Yesler Terrace neighborhood, which is so small. And around First Hill,
not that far from downtown, a little distance from the water.
Yeah.
That helps a bit.
Yeah, and Savannah, as you're coming back to the station, just take it easy. We appreciate you being out in the field, braving the elements the last couple of days.
And get some more coffee.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know. You know, coffee, just like getting warm. Well, every time we go back in the car, we blast the heat up. And Jay, the photojournalist I'm with too, we both know how to take it easy after we've been out in the cold. So we will definitely be doing that once we get back to the car and back to the station.
Well, thank you for standing out in the cold all morning long, keeping us updated on what's really going on out there and moving around so much. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, after coming back, because we still have to get to the forecast, we also have some updates if you are just joining us on passes as well as SeaTac. So we'll take a quick break and we'll bring you the latest coming up.
Welcome back. We're moving along here. We're going to take a look at the forecast and a few other things that are going on that the weather is impacting right now.
Right, and if you are joining us now or you're watching this later, it is 10:49 on this Friday the 13th, so things will be changing over the span of the next couple of hours. Join us at noon. Also, Adam will have another First Alert show at 3 o'clock, and then Perella this evening as well. But
at 8 o'clock.
At 8 p.m. this evening, yes. SeaTac, we were talking about this.
First, we should hit the passes because we just got an update.
Yes, so let's start with that. You were combing through WashDOT's updates. Do you want to tell us?
They had White Pass closed while they were out evaluating the avalanche hazard. They've decided apparently that it's okay because now they've reopened White Pass, so that's definitely good news. But traction tires are still required there. Chains required across Stevens Pass, and of course, Snoqualmie Pass remains closed right now. Another note on Stevens 2, they've announced that they're going to be doing avalanche control starting at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. They could be closed for up to 2 hours. It'll depend on when they do the control how much they have to clear off the highway. But again, that's at 4 a.m. tomorrow. Otherwise, they're open at last note, and chains are required.
Hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully all of you are staying safe if you're listening to us from home, work, or in the car, or anything like that, as conditions continue to change. Something else we're watching.
Yes, there's a ground stop for Seattle right now. It's been on for about an hour, hour and a half, which basically means that other airports, planes are not supposed to depart other airports for SeaTac until that ground stop is lifted. And that affects, obviously, arrivals, but that also affects departures because oftentimes they're depending on that equipment to make it into the airport so they can leave again. So things starting to get really delayed out there at the airport as well. We haven't been given a reason for ground stop, but it may be that they're having to de-ice now because of the snow situation, and that slows down the whole operation.
Okay, so that's pretty major, especially if people are trying to leave, maybe catch a flight, and basically you see it falling at SeaTac right now, and like we've been saying, not really sticking to any roads, it's just more so elevated surfaces. Also, we were talking about this. As we know, we have microclimates. Being the distance from Puget Sound and the water, as well as your elevation, really has a lot to do with what you're seeing right now.
Oh, yeah.
And in general.
Well, I mean, it's basically when the snow levels are marginal, where they're close to sea level, et cetera, then it doesn't take much to tip it one way or the other, whether you're going to see rain or snow. The primary one is probably your elevation, obviously, but also your proximity to Puget Sound. We've got, one of the reasons we have such a mild winter climate is with that big body of water out there that's our radiator and keeps us warm during the wintertime. So the closer you are, the warmer it is. And you see that always with this, that it's right near Puget Sound. It tends to be a little bit warmer than other places. Of course, the reverse is true in the summertime, that it's cooler. But then there's also the how far away you are or how high up you are, which makes those two in combinations make a big difference. And sometimes the topography connecting where you are to Puget Sound really affects how much the warmth of the sound will affect your snow level. So that's why it's so spotty, moves around. The strength of the shower coming down, as we know frequently when it's marginal, will bring that snow level down a little bit. That hasn't really been necessary so much this morning. It's been low enough, but that also affects it. So there's a lot of factors that are really variable over a quarter of a mile or less. So it's one of the reasons we see so much variations in these situations.
And I mean, you can see that very distinct line. Snohomish County, one person texted into the King 5 line, and I was reading some of your messages, and thank you for all the photos and videos, by the way. They were saying, well, Snohomish County, we got it already from the convergence zone now. Yeah. Not so much. Yeah. Good for our friends south into King County, because we've been waiting for this. Just, we want you to safely enjoy it, even if it's just falling from the sky. I'm sure lots of kids, animals even, are frolicking.
Those I recall
my dachshund said
dachshund
nope.
This morning did not like that.
Nope, and that was at 3:30 in the morning, and I only had a little bit of slush on my grass, and that's North Seattle.
Was
about
that Comet or
Cappy?
Cappy.
Cappy. He's a grumpy old man.
I was gonna say, you can name him Comet. He looked like he was moving fast.
Yeah, very fast, especially at 3:30 in the morning when it's too cold. His belly was just soaked and cold. So going forward, we could talk about animals all day long.
True.
It's true, but a lot of people are wondering, well, will I get some snow if I live in Port Angeles?
But no, you're right by another big body of water that's relatively warm, and it's going to be staying pretty much rain in the places along the strait. And we've been seeing that also up towards the San Juans and around Bellingham in that area. We had a rain-snow mix earlier, but pretty much gone back to rain. And actually, as you notice in the Doppler radar, that frontal boundary is dropping southward, so we're beginning to dry to the north, but we do expect another wave to kind of move in, which is going to lift that back up again a little bit later on for another round of rain or snow in the lowlands, another round of heavy snow up in the mountains later this afternoon into early in the evening.
And so don't let that catch you off guard as well, especially late tonight. So but the moisture will be limited by then. It will slowly peel away. So the coverage will be
tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's not going to be as widespread. So as for Skagit County, up in Mount Vernon, the tulips, the daffodils, they had, some of them at least, had a little bit of snow earlier in the week. And here's a look at the forecast for the next couple hours. And another thing to point, you see 41.
Yeah, they've warmed. Yeah, most places are going to warm up to near 40 degrees. Will be a little bit warmer to the north than the south.
And then outside in Everett, we want to say hi to you if you are joining us. Everett.
Looks like they're getting a break, but
yeah.
The forecast doesn't tell us that fact. But
no.
That boundary is going to be moving around a little bit as it usually does.
And here's Queen Anne looking toward downtown.
And it looks lovely.
Yeah, I mean, you can't see much.
It's sitting in the base of the clouds. The camera is probably sitting up at around 500-foot elevation, so it's getting a little bit of a rest right now. Yeah. I always wonder if the camera's working when I go to it, and it looks like that.
Right. And let me go back to Seattle. And I mean, we'll still see that rain and snow mix, maybe a couple of bursts of snow, again, higher in the elevations, even into the afternoon. But a lot of it's going to switch to rain.
Yeah, during the course of the next, now that we're approaching 11 o'clock this morning and on into the early afternoon, we will see that switch over as the daytime warming pushes temperatures up. We'll see the switch over to rain just about everywhere below about 1,000 to 1,500 feet. And then overnight tonight, we'll see that slowly drop back down again. But at the same time, the amount of moisture is going to start to decrease as we head towards later on tonight. So that makes it a little on the tough side. So
I mean, some of us are seeing it, and I wanted to show Tacoma as well, Rich. Check out this view.
Oh yeah, we've got a little mix. You can see a little bit of wet snow mixed in coming down, and very wintry view there. Haven't seen much of that this winter.
In March. And again, for some of us, if we're not seeing any issues, of course, a lot of people were wondering, well, are we going to go all winter without snow in the lowlands?
It was looking that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't checked to see if we had measurable at SeaTac yet.
Not
which is
yet.
kind of what determines, since it's our climatological station, which many people say, why just that one? But it's been around for 77 years?
Yeah.
Longer than almost 80. Oh, it was 80 years this year, as a matter of fact. Last year.
So
Because it was 1945 is when they started taking observations there.
So it's dependable. When we look back at our
We
climate
have a long
reports,
record from there.
Exactly. Our friends in Hood Canal and Shelton, just that area as well. Also, Kitsap Peninsula has seen some snow this morning. We were checking in with Mason County for a good chunk of the morning.
They were one of the first early this morning to actually start to see the snow coming down there in Shelton. So they've been maintaining it. And that's being at the south end of the Hood Canal. Hood Canal is another one of those strange places because of the shape of it. It holds cold air in there, and lots of times when nobody else is getting snow, they get snow because the way most of our precipitation starts to snow during the wintertime and then melts before it gets to the ground. When it falls into that air in Hood Canal, which is at or below freezing, it just doesn't melt before it gets to the ground, so they get a nice round of wet snow.
They are typically the lucky ones if you want snow.
Yes, exactly.
Especially. Stevens Pass, as we've been saying, more heavy snow. Our friends out at the coast.
Yeah, they've been seeing rain.
Yeah,
They'll see
cold rain.
There's a large body of water near them, I understand. So.
Yeah, a little bit, just kind of large. It's still going to be cold there as well, just cold rain, and like we've been talking about, and like Rich was talking about as well, that very distinct boundary of where we're seeing the warm air and then the cold air and then rain versus a mix versus snow.
Yeah, if you drive south on I-5, you can find, low 50s down there in Portland right
Portland
now,
at last check, and I'll pull that up before we wrap up the 7-day forecast. Portland 54.
Well, it's warming up down there, yeah. Well, this is all going to shift over as we head towards later in the weekend, as we can see on the 7-day forecast, and we'll get into different type of weather as we head towards next week. A little bit more on the tropical side.
Let it think for just a second.
Apparently the computer is very
Yeah,
tired.
there we go.
There it is.
There we go. Yes. Before we also let you go, we wanted to remind you that we got that notification from WashDOT that Snoqualmie Pass in general, that they are planning to more than likely stay closed the rest of the day between the North Bend area off to the east toward Ellensburg, I believe.
Ellensburg or Cle Elum. I don't know where it is. And it's being affected by the fact that they have snow on a much longer stretch of highway right now that they have to clear off, and they have multiple accidents to clear, so it's going to take them quite a while.
Okay, so please be safe out there. You can check in with more updates. This is evolving over.
It is definitely.
Hopefully
it'll be gradually getting better as we head towards later this evening and into tomorrow.
Yeah, especially if you're going up in the higher hilltops and then the foothills and then just the higher elevation you go. Please take it easy out there. I'll be on the noon newscast with Christine Pay at 12 o'clock, so we hope you'll join us then.
And again, watch those streams at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. for more weather information. But till then, I'm Rich Marriott.
Yeah, and I'm Ashley Ruiz.
Have a